welcome back to Rock the Block. We are here with our amazing guests. We stopped the movie a little early. RJ almost got shot for stopping the movie early, but we wanted to take the time to thank our amazing guests coming in. We have Mr. Eddie McMillan, and we have also Mr. Leonard George. So y'all give them a round of applause, please. I'm your host, Bolaji. Of course, you can find me as Queen Bolaji on socials, and you can, of course, watch this on Roku, Comcast. We have Apple TV and Amazon TV. So, gentlemen, please introduce yourself to, of course, our audience here, but our audience at home.
My name is Eddie McMillan. I'm from Tampa, Florida. Actually, I'm from the neighborhood here. Attended Blake High School. Also was the first athlete to play football at Florida State University.
I'm Leonard George. Was a neighbor from Eddie, and also from Tampa. And I went to Jesuit High School where I played football. And I was the first black football player at the University of Florida. And I went back and I got my law degree, and now I'm a lawyer. And it's good to be with you for sure.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. So I have a couple questions because during the pre-show, you guys gave us a little taste of what we could expect. But you guys grew up in Tampa, especially West Tampa. So you guys grew up in this neighborhood, and we have kids from this neighborhood. What do you think it's like to see someone like them who came from here, now who's made it to the college level and to the NFL? What do you think this has as an impact for them?
Well, what I think, first of all, is just having the opportunity to see someone who's accomplished something. I don't think they're at the point of their life where they understand what our accomplishments were. But what it does, I think it can give them vision. It can give them hope. When they look at us, they can say, I can do that too as well. I think that's the most important thing of us being here today.
So, you got a room full of kids. We wanted to talk tonight about specifically parental responsibility and community engagement. Because what we saw in the movie was King Richard, right? This movie could have been about the Venus and Serena story, but they focused on the father's perspective of what it was like to raise two daughters. What do you think? Definitely today, life ain't like it used to be. What do you think a parent's responsibility is when it comes to guiding a child towards, success?
Would you like to answer first, Pete, and I'll follow?
Yes, I think one of the main things is make sure that it's really about the same thing. You want them to make sure that they have a good education and make sure that they're committed if they want to play sports. That's good enough. But it's another thing that our parents wanted us to work hard. That was the main thing. But it wasn't so much at that time the athletics, it was the education part. And I still think today is the most important thing for them to have the discipline to go for it and get that education and also, play sports. Another thing on the movie, it was saying, well, if you don't get the grades, you're not going to play. And that's what I would think some of the parents will be able to do is say, well, look, if you want to play sports, no matter what sports you want, you're going to have to get your grades first. And that's the most important thing, the two of them together.
I like to go ahead and echo pretty much what Pete said in terms of education, but I want to take it a step further. I think the number one thing you need is involvement. You need involvement and you need participation by parents, both of them. Now, I grew up in a single family household, and unfortunately, sometimes there aren't two parents there, but that don't mean you cannot be successful. So the very first thing is you have to have participation in your kids' life. You have to understand who they're dealing with, what type of environment they're in, because that's so very important. We're talking about sports. What sports does is sports teach you about the real life, and that's the game of life. Now, when you play football, just like in a real game of life, there's going to be plays that's called that you don't like. There's going to be people on the team that you don't like. There's going to be things involved in sports that you don't like. But you have to put all of those things aside, because I know sometimes I can look at you guys and see you guys outside playing football, and somebody don't throw you the ball and you get mad. Well, why don't they throw me the ball? Probably because you can't catch. but listen to me. But that doesn't mean you can't be important, because everybody have an area of responsibility. You know, everybody has to be good. It takes a lot of ingredients to make a cake. It takes a lot of different things for a successful football team, a track team, a basketball team to be successful. But even more than that, it takes a lot of different things to be successful in life. I know sometimes your parents are talking to you and you want to do something and your parents don't let you do it and you get mad. But you have to understand, your parents have your best interests at heart. They know what's good for you most of the time. every once in a while they screw up too. But listen, it's important that you do the right thing. Now, you guys know what peer pressure is, am I correct?
Yes.
When someone tries to get you to do something that you don't want to do. And if you don't do it, what do they say?
No.
Give me a little participation. What do they say?
Trash.
They say, you're a chump, or you're not cool, or you're scared. But you know what I found out? Sometimes it's okay to be a chump. Sometimes it's okay to be scared. Because you don't want to get in trouble. And I know it's very, very hard to do at this particular time. But anyway, going back to what we were saying, and I'll wrap this up. I think it's very, very important that you have parent participation. Also, I think it's very, very important that you have discipline, you have dedication, you have respect. All of those things are very, very important. And as Pete alluded to, you have to have education. Because if you don't have education, you're never going to be able to reach your full potential. You're a great athlete, right? But no school is going to give you a scholarship if you have bad grades.
I got A's and B's.
And see, let me explain. Everybody's seen a boxing match before, am I correct? Give me some other participation. Yes?
Yes.
Now you see two guys in there punching, right?
Yeah.
What if one of the guys hurt one of his hands? Will that stop him from continuing fighting?
No.
Why?
Because you got other hand.
Well, that's exactly what life is like. On this hand, you have education. It doesn't even, on this hand, you have athletics, and it doesn't have to even be athletics. You can be into the arts. You can be into the trades. Whatever it is that you think want to make you successful, that's what this is. See what I mean? This is your dreams, and this is your aspiration. But what if something happened to your dreams and aspiration? What if you hurt your knee and can't play anymore?
Just move on.
Huh? No, if you hurt your knee, you're not going to play. What if something happens to you that's going to interfere with your goal and your dream? That's this hand.
You can try something.
But you can still be successful. You want to know why?
You say you could try something
Because you have that education on the other hand. That's what I mean. You can have your dream and aspirations about being an athlete, but always understand that you need the education, because without education, you're only going to be limited to go so far in your life. And Pete and I, and also I want to point out a couple of other people that's in here that actually grew up with us that were very, very successful and came to support us. People like Curtis Wright. Curtis. People like Jerry and Lucas, who came all the way from Sacramento, California. People like me to stand up here. We used to call him Buck. He played football with us. We didn't have a kicker on the team, and we needed a kicker. So I said, Buck, you big and strong. You're going to be our kicker. He said, I don't know how to kick, Eddie. I said, I can teach you. And I taught him how to kick. But also what you fail to realize is even though Hubert didn't go on to be a professional football player, he became very, very successful because he's an EMT. Geraldine is a very successful businesswoman. Curtis Wright, he didn't play athletics after he got out of high school, but he went to the military, became very successful, and he's a very successful real estate person at this particular time. I guess what I'm saying to you is you don't have to be an athlete to be successful, but whatever you choose, be dedicated, be sincere, and don't let anybody stand in your way of your goals and your dreams.
Thank you. All right, y'all, clap it up for him.
Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't give respect to my cousin that I helped raise, Miss Jamie Cortez. Jamie Cortez, son, also goes to a little private school, St. Peter Claver, that we went to, and I'd be remiss because my cousin Jamie, and this is the reason that it stood up. My cousin Jamie was in the same situation that a lot of you single mothers are in. But through perseverance, through hard work, none of her children have ever gone to public schools.
Wow.
You know, our kids are very smart, got graduates from the University of Florida. And what I'm saying, and when you look at Jamie, what you can say is, I can do it too.
Thank you, Miss Jamie.
So you brought a whole lot of the community here with you, which we appreciate, because we just happen to be in a place that you would call your old stomping ground over here at the old North Boulevard area of the city.
Right.
What was it like back then, and what do you think about the advancement and the development that you see now?
Well, at that time, you got to think about the time. This is a long time ago. And like I said, I lived not too far from here.
Okay.
I grew up, not too far from here. And so the first thing I was going to go to Blake, which was right there. I was only 5 blocks from the place, But at that time, this was the time when, the civil rights movement and all this stuff was going on. And when we came along, me and Maddie, that was the time that they started looking, the white schools started looking for black athletes. And that was the beginning of it. Because when I went to Jesuit, there was only 3 blacks out of the whole school. The whole school. And for the most part, we had 1 black on the football team. And we had to deal with that. And we went through a lot of, trauma where we had to go to places that did not want us to be there, period. So we had to be, this is what I want to say, that we had to be a team. That's why it's so important, if you want to play sports, that you do it as a team. Because at that time, it was the first time that blacks and whites were coming together on those different fields. But we were having so much success that it showed that what the civil rights movement was all about, working together, black and white, Catholic, Jews, all the people that would come together on that field or on that court in order to win the game. So as working as a team, that was the thing that was important. And we learned that, on the blocks, where we were just playing with each other. And then we got a chance to go to these other universities, these other high schools where there was no other black people at that time. Now, you probably wouldn't be able to realize it, but at that time, that's why we were the first ones. We were history, but it was not because of us, it was because the other people that came before us. At the time we were playing, Bar Rooster Clean, do you know who that is?
Yes.
He was shot down. That was the same time me and Eddie were getting ready to go finish up our high school and going off to college.
Well, he was
So
doing his
when you
speech.
look at that, you got to look at the context of the time.
Wow.
And there was a lot of people that helped us out. And I'm saying people from all races that were helping us out and wanted to see us succeed. And they made it happen. And we were happy that it did.
Thank you so much. And being the first to, number one, being in those schools.
Right.
So you already had to be the first in those high schools of integration,
Right.
but then having to go to college, how did that affect you? Because it's like, okay, we got through high school. Now I got to start all over again, going through college as the first to break through this ground.
Well, before I address that, I want to just touch on West Tampa, because there's a lot of history in West Tampa. Do most people know why West Tampa was founded? West Tampa was founded by a Scottish gentleman by the name of Fitzgerald. All of the black people at that particular time, they lived out in the country. They did not live in the city. So he wanted to have an integrated area. So you see all of the cigar factories around here. What he did is he built all of the cigar factories and brought all minorities, blacks, Cubans, Latinos, to develop the West Tampa area. Now, the reason I said that is the West Tampa area, it didn't look anything like it did now. It was a very vibrant area. This was a middle-class black neighborhood. Lawns cut, even though the projects were here, everything was immaculate. The grounds and everything. Also, they were using an experimental form of electricity that they started in West Tampa.
Wow.
That was solar power. That was on the roofs of all of the homes in the project. So there's a lot of history in West Tampa. Now, you asked me a question. Could you? That's okay. I remember. I don't, even though I played football, I don't have CT.
Look, you got it.
Here's something else that's very unique about Leonard and myself. When we went to Florida State and University of Florida, you can put basically all the students in the Volkswagen band. Mm-hmm. But in spite of that, we, at both universities, we started the first Black student union. We had the first Black homecoming queen at both universities, the first Black cheerleader. How did we do that? We did that through what's known as a collaboration. We brought students, we brought others, blacks, the few Black students that we had. We brought liberal and open-minded white students from the universities as well as from the community. We brought community leaders in, we brought pastors in. That's why we were able to effect the change at the university. And I'd like to think that Pete and I laid the foundation for what we see now. But the work isn't over. As a matter of fact, it's even harder now than it was when we came up. And the reason being is we had role models in our neighborhood. Because there was no integration, all of the prominent Black people, they couldn't live in the suburbs. They had to live in the neighborhood. So next to me, I had an accountant, a lawyer, a school teacher. So we had role models in the neighborhood. That's why it was so important that Pete and I come back, because we feel that not enough role models come back. And role models don't necessarily have to be athletes. Butch Delaney, Seattle, Washington. He was a pipe fitter. Pipe fitters make more money than college professors. What I'm saying to you is that you don't have to be an athlete to be successful. You just have to have a plan, and whatever you choose to do, be the best you can in it.
I know you said that after your athletic careers, you went into different fields. So you became a lawyer. How was that? Like, so you graduated with a law degree, or did you come into that after?
Well, before that, I got my undergrad degree in journalism. And so I worked there for a while. And then I decided that, that I was needed more, as a lawyer. So I went back and I got my law degree. And that was something, I'm saying, because, it took a lot of work, a lot of discipline, and a lot of help. But, I'm glad that I did that because I was able to do a lot of things as a lawyer that I wasn't been able to do otherwise. And so it was nice to say that, an athlete say, well, what do you want to do? I say, well, I want to practice law. And that's what I did. But I got to say that when you think about the parents, my parents, I know he was had from a single family. But me, I had two parents, and they both worked, and they worked very hard. But they insisted that I do the right thing, including high school. I had to have my grades up, and going back to college, same thing. And then when I went to law, it made a big difference. And so I'm saying that I had role models like with the civil rights movement. It wasn't just marches and protests. There was people going to court and challenging the laws that were discriminatory, the Jim Crow law. All these things were, on top of us at that time. So I decided that we need to try to do something about this. And I was thinking, what's the best way to do this? Try to become a lawyer and try to help out people.
Thank you. And
For some of you all who might have been joining, we got a lot of people watching online and on streaming networks and stuff. We have two living legends here with us tonight. My question is, you all went through a lot of adversity, not just the rigors of being a college student, but being the only Black athlete at Florida State University, the only Black student athlete at the University of Florida. Going through those situations to now, how do you feel about how we've treated your legacy? There's been a lot of student athletes who've now gone to PWIs or predominantly white institutions.
Right.
How do you feel about how we're doing based on the road that the path that you trail for us?
Well, I feel that it's, we came around at a time where we were on top of other people. The people that were before us, like, for example, the University of Florida had only integrated with Black people just in 1958. That was only 10 years before that we were seniors. So I'm saying, when you look at that, and then other people say, well, why would you go to Gainesville? It's nothing but what can you expect up there? You'd be going to FAMU or BCC or something like that, because that was our only option. But I was saying that I think that the Lord chose us at that time to do something out of the ordinary, to be a part of a movement that would not only protest, but protest on the field, protest in the classroom, and at other events. And so it's hard to remember that all of this stuff was a time where we had so much going on. The war, the Vietnam war was going on, the social issues, all of this stuff. We had a lot of violence, and all this stuff was going on. And so when we came along, well, I feel that it was right for us to be able to take it on, to stand up on the shoulders of the people that come before us. A lot of people have given their very lives for what we were able to do. But sometimes you don't realize that. It's all about you, especially at that age. We're only, 17 years old. A little older than you guys. And so when we did that, it was about trying to leave a legacy that we would be able to be proud of, and that we would be able to look back on it. And now looking back on it, I'm proud that we were able to do that. We were, I would say, blessed that we got a chance to do that ourselves.
How you feel, Mr. McMillan?
Well, first of all, we were just young, and and there was a renaissance going on in the country, and the country was changing. And I don't think initially at that time we understood from a historical standpoint just how important that was. I mean, we were just excited. God, we're going to a white university. Can you believe that? You know, at a time when something like that was unheard of. But I think as time went on, I think we understood the challenge and the responsibility. I won't say burden, the responsibility that we had to undertake, because we were laying the foundation for the future, and it was very, very important to us. And a lot of people, unfortunately, who did not have vision. I don't want to say jealous, but I want to say they did everything they can to discourage us and try to put us down, but they couldn't do that. So what I'm saying is as Pete alluded to, we kind of sort of look at ourselves as the Jackie Robinson of our times. I think a lot of thought, a lot of preparation went into choosing us, because there's a lot of athletes in the state of Florida. Why did they choose Leonard and I? And also from the same neighborhood. And I think that was because of one, not only our athletic ability, but also our academic ability. And also from our backgrounds. When they came into our house, they knew that we were very, very respectful. They knew that we were the kind of individuals that the university would be proud to say that they are a part of. So what we did was we opened the doors for all of the other Black athletes after us to come along now. But also at the same time, we understood that we have to be good steward of those blessings. Yeah. And that's why we did the things we did, and that's why we do the things that we do now. Now, when I got out of college, it was a little different for me because I went right into pro football. But I have a degree in business and a minor in marketing. So because of what I learned at Florida State, what I started doing is I started laying the foundation. So when I made the transition from football, it would be very, very easy. And I think all too often that's what happens to Black athletes. They're totally ill prepared for the real world, because all of a sudden you're 29 years or 30 years old and your career is over. And, you know, athletics is not the kind of profession you're going to be on to age 65. So it's important that we as role models get people to understand that what they have in athletics is temporary, and they have to prepare themselves for what they're going to do later on in life. I work for a company by the name of Dynamics. You guys probably don't know it, but if you see like a Winn-Dixie truck or a Sears or a Publix truck, all of those vehicles aren't owned by the company. They have independent contractors. As a matter of fact, once again, I'm proud of Jamie, because her daughter is a long haul driver, have her own company of drivers. See, so there's a tremendous amount of opportunities in a lot of different areas. And I'll just wrap this up by saying, you know, you don't have to be an athlete. You can be successful in anything you do. You just have to dedicate yourself.
Okay. Do any of our guests have any questions for our guests? Any of our viewers have any questions for our guests? Say it loud.
Y'all got any questions?
So we have track players in here, or track runners. We have gymnasts. We have football players. We have so many different kids here who play different sports. So I want to make sure that we make it relative to them. Everything you said is relative, but
let's make it easy for them, okay? People always ask us different questions, and one of the questions I get asked most often is, why did I start to play football? Mm-hmm. I started playing football because I wanted a pretty girlfriend.
It'd be
the truth.
That's the truth. Then I got the pretty.
They left on that one.
That wasn't it.
Why did you start playing football? Why did you start playing football?
Because remember Phillips Field?
Yep.
So I lived there not too far. I could walk down there. I mean, that was the place that the FAMU and all the places used to come and play. And man, I used to go down there, and I was so excited to see the band too, and to see those players. And those were my, heroes. And that, and I wanted to play football as much as I could. But I tried to go early, but I wasn't able to play football until I got to high school. And so that's when that started happening for me. And then we had before us, the guys that came before us, like Andy Bennett, these people that were playing football already, and they were having good success. So I said, man, I'd like to do that too.
What colleges would you have gone to if you didn't get picked up by FSU and UF?
Well, I figured that, if we didn't have, much choice, that, wouldn't, we didn't have those options, then it probably been FAMU or BCC, one of those places that we would, because we wouldn't have any other choice.
Yes.
That was the way it was,
At that time.
just, before us.
Yeah.
Just before us.
Yeah.
And then after us, everything opened up.
And you mentioned that you guys had a pact to actually go where. So go ahead and tell them that story.
Well, we were both going to go to the University of Florida together, but if I had not gone to Florida State, I would have gone to the University of Houston, or I would have gone to Arizona State. Mm-hmm. Those are the two schools I probably. I mean, I had a lot of offers in football and track, so I had the opportunity to go to a lot of different places. But back to what you were saying, Leonard and I made a pact that because we were going to Florida on recruiting trips and all of those things, and we made a pact that we were going to go to the University of Florida. But at the last minute, when it came to my house, they offered.
He backed out. That's just
Florida State
like it is. He backed out.
Florida State offered more money than Florida.
I looked around and he was gone. I said,
See you.
Jerry McCarthy showed me the
And I wasn't going to be able to protect him.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And
He was gone.
y'all grew up together. So there's almost a sibling bond right here that I see with you two for sure.
We hadn't been together in how many years by now?
Oh,
A lot of years. We went together, went to different places, and he went one way and I went another. And it's good to come back for this, for this occasion, and for us to be able to deal with this again.
By the way, I want to make it perfectly clear. I'm not trying to get Florida State on probation. I was only teasing about the money.
It's a joke.
But now they have something called an NIL. Are you familiar with that? That's where basically players can capitalize on their imaging and their likeness and those types of things where they're actually playing players. So I'm looking at Pete and I'm looking at myself. How much money do you think we could have made back in the day?
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Right, especially being the first, man. We would have had all that, right?
I mean, the quarterback from the University of Alabama, he's just 19 years old. He got $1 million. Oh, God, Mama, let's move it on up. We did that to Jefferson.
So we're moving up from the west side.
So you both, this month especially is very important to history because before it was Negro Week, right? And now it is our Black History Month. But we celebrate Black history or Black excellence throughout the year. So what does it mean, especially during this time? Like, what has this done, especially when you talk about the civil rights movement, you being in that as it was happening, and now seeing that we have a month to celebrate. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, we as Black people, we should be very, very proud of ourselves and our accomplishments. And sometimes I think we as a race of people, we really don't quite understand that. And let me put it in perspective for you. In less than 400 years, roughly about 400 years, we've come from some of the most illiterate people in the world to some of the smartest people in the world. Now, a lot of people would disagree with me, but let's be real. When white went into sub-Saharan Africa in the early 16th century, black men couldn't read or write.
Our
English.
English.
English specifically. We were the
We-
smartest. We created
No,
everything.
no, I mean, we had this conversation,
Yeah.
but we don't need to talk about what happened then. What we need to talk about is what we've accomplished from the time that we've come here.
Yeah.
Because once we came here, we became one race of people. We spoke one language. And what we should do is we should look at ourselves and applaud ourselves and say, hey, we are very, very intelligent. We are smart. We can accomplish anything. And just looking at Leonard and myself, that's proof in itself.
Yeah.
The things that Harriet Tubman and all of those wonderful people did for us to get to the point that we are now. The things that I say to the youth now, please don't destroy everything and all the accomplishments that we've had over the last 400 years because we're killing each other. I think that's one of the issues that we need to address in the black community, black violence, and also teen purpose, along with education. I think if we can come up with a plan and a solution to address those things, I think we'll be able to reach our full potential as a race of people.
And you said we, because a lot of people would contend that, okay, look at the systemic issues that are going on. But you're saying that we need to now take responsibility for ourselves. We need to now create our own solutions, not looking for everybody outside to do it. It's like, no, this is our problem. Let's handle this. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a reality for us.
And what I'm saying is all we have to do is look at Pete and myself or look at some of the other guests that we brought here. They did the same thing, because when we were growing up, there were tremendous barriers, but our attitude was, we're going to kick the door down. You're not going to stop us from moving forward. And I think that's so very, very important that we instill that confidence in them, because they're going to have it tougher than we did. And you look at me and say, well, what do you mean, Eddie? Well, basically, when we were growing up, our competition was just from white people in America. Now it's a global economy. So you're competing against everybody all over the world. So it's incumbent that you have the skills, that you have the education, that you have the training that's going to be important for you to be successful as you move forward in life.
Well, this being Black History Month, and this being our series of Black Fridays, this is a wonderful way to start us off. Next week, we're watching the movie Summer of Soul.
Summer of Soul.
Have y'all seen Summer of Soul yet?
I have not.
Man, it is
you have to
amazing.
watch it. Oh,
I
my
saw, certain parts of it, but not the whole thing.
It's a movie
I'm
about
excited.
a music festival
Yeah.
that was done in New York City during the Civil Rights Movement. It's amazing. We're going to talk about how music has impacted and inspired the Black community. The week after that, we're going to watch the movie Rosewood, about the city here in Florida that was,
So you do these every Friday?
every
y'all do
Friday
these?
night. Every Friday night, we're going to do this. We're going to have this party over
Wow.
here in
Yeah.
West River.
Are you guys going to do anything with Greenwood?
We don't.
We actually, so someone reached out to, so I have my own talk show, and someone from there, we had a conversation. So we're actually thinking about going over there to actually do like a series or do a couple episodes.
The Black Wall Street.
Yeah, itself. But this year, because especially Summer of Soul impacted us because we saw it right after we did Juneteenth last year.
Yeah.
So last year we did Juneteenth festival at Raymond James Stadium, and it was so massive to like experience that, because a lot of people told us like, we don't go over there. I was like, what are you talking about? A lot of us watch football. We watched you play. We watch how many LeBron and everybody else. What do you mean that we don't go to these stadiums? We're hoping to see these people that we emulate. We're hoping to actually achieve what they're doing. Of course, we're over there. So to be able to bring really Tampa, and it was so many beautiful families there, so many men, women, children running around, and it was Juneteenth, and they had just made it the national holiday too. So just imagine how it was just around the Tampa Bay was crazy. And to see Summer of Soul right after that, I think it really just reignited our passion to keep doing what we're doing. So this year we're going to be back at Raymond James. they invited us back. So we're excited about this year as well.
Excellent.
So we got Summer Soul next Friday. We got Rosewood the Friday after that. The last Friday of the month, we're doing school days.
Yeah.
Despite me joining.
We had to edit
All
a
right,
good
Spike, you gotta
note.
have Spike. Gotta
Look.
have
So with that, we're partnering with an app developer called the HBCU Hub.
Yes.
And we're trying to get a lot of HBCU executives from across the country to be on live with us. They're going to be live, but they're going to be virtual.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get open admissions that night from some of the HBCUs to waive the admission fees. If you are alumnus of a HBCU, call your admissions counselor at your school and tell them we need for them to waive fees on the last Friday of the month.
He's like, no. He's like, yeah, I don't know about that. Don't say what happened.
I used to.
Hey, you never know, right?
We can make some stuff happen. But yeah, I think it's been great. And I wanna thank Grace Point Healthcare for helping us to sponsor tonight, for opening the door for us to come over to this community. We appreciate that community partnership. The Popcorn Junkies popcorn,
Popcorn junkie.
out of Orlando.
Yes.
Did everybody like the popcorn?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got the best water brand you've ever had in your life, called Omi Water. If you didn't get Omi Water, make sure you try some Omi Waters. We got some in the back before you leave. Please download the GT app, the Gotta Talk app, and go to the Gotta Talk network on your Roku, Amazon Fire.
It's GT Network
Yeah,
on Roku, Comcast Big South, so it is on cable, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. So we're on there. We're bringing on more content creators. Of course, he's been producing all the shows, but it's just beautiful for us to now have our own network. You know, we talk about BET, but now we are all getting into media as well. So we're trying to make sure that we're showing positive stories and, you know, having positive conversations like tonight. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. God bless y'all.
All right, back to the movie.
We're gonna watch the rest of this movie and we're gonna call it a night. Y'all give our guests another hand tonight.
Thank you. I want a picture of that. It's like looking at myself, looking at myself, looking at myself. You know what I'm saying? We got all the kids.
Can't get enough.
You know what?